let's make a do-it-yourself sit-upon cushion from a reusable shopping bag. When I was a girl, I made a sit-upon when I was in Brownies or Girl Scouts. So this is a reusable shopping bag, and it is something that I've had on hand I'm not using, and I thought the materials would work great. You could also use a vinyl tablecloth, but what I love about these is we're going to keep the handles on them so that when we are done making the sit-upon, you'll be able to carry this with the handles. I have seen some people use these for seat cushions on chairs and benches outside as well. They're a little bit crinkly, but a waterproof or at least water-resistant fabric or material. So let's make a sit-upon. I'm going to be cutting off these outside edges. I will tell you that if you wanted to do this with duct tape, you could also duct tape these edges and not do any sewing at all. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this down to size. I have my ruler here and a permanent marker, and an important part of this is making sure that you save the edge with the handles on it. You do not want to cut off the handles. I'm going to make this as large as I can, which means I can make mine 18 inches wide or a little bit less and about 17 inches high by the size of my bag. So you're going to want a very large size bag. I think I got this at Marshall's for like $1. So I'm going to mark this, and then I'm going to draw lines on here that will give me a cutting line, and I'm going to cut the outside edge off so we can make this a how to sew project as well. One thing I love about this project is it's almost all recyclable materials. I already had this bag. If you're making this in a group of children, you could have these steps already done. Okay, so I have drawn the lines on here to make it as large a square as I can, or rectangle in your case if you'd like. I like how this says London on it, and it's on both sides of the bag. So next I'm going to cut this out on the lines that I've made, and then just save the front and the back side. I won't need these edges. Do not cut on the handle side. A sit-upon is great for hiking or camping or a class you're taking outside or anything that you're doing that you want to be able to sit upon something that is going to keep the moisture and maybe some of the chiggers off of you. With that all cut out, I'm going to put binder clips, at least one on each side, to kind of hold them in place for my next step, which is to use a hole punch, and I'm going to punch holes all the way around the outside edge, about 1 inch apart. I'm not going to measure it, but they're going to be about 1 inch apart, and they're about 3/4 of an inch in from the edge so that they don't rip out easily. You're going to make holes on either side of the handle because it's not going to be easy to sew through or to punch through the handle. If you want to take the handles off, you can just remove the stitching and take them off. So I've made a confetti mess here. Not all of these little holes came all the way out. Some of them are still kind of stuck here and attached. That's okay. This may be a step that younger kids need help with, especially on this top edge that's a little bit thicker. So if you want, for younger children, you could have all of the lines drawn. You could even put little marks here with your pen where the holes go, and then that way they would have the best opportunity to make them all straight and even. But the older kids could probably do all of this themselves. To sew our sit-upon together, you can use regular string, you could use yarn, This is boondoggle thread or GIMP plastic, a plastic string that you could use, and I think that's what I'm going to use because I had a bunch of extra from another project. And also what I like about this is you don't need a needle. You can put these through the holes without a needle, and I thought that was kind of a nice feature. If you use yarn, you're going to need a yarn needle of some sort with a large hole that will fit the yarn through, and you just twist the yarn real tightly and then push it through, bend it over, and then push it through the eye. This is something that you could have done for kids before your activity goes on. I would recommend the plastic yarn needles. They have even a larger head and they have a blunt nose tip on them. This is blunt, but it's still sharper than I'd like for young children. All right, so I'm going to be using a piece of plastic string that's about double the length around this bag. There's several different stitches you could use. I'm going to put some links to tutorials on a couple of these stitches down below the post. But I'm going to be using what's called a whip stitch that goes over and over and over. Just going to go round and around the edge. You could do what's called a running stitch, which is as up and down through each hole. That would work great also. But either of these two stitches, either round and around the edge or up and down, are great. And this is fantastic eye-hand coordination exercise. So I'm going to start my thread here on this top edge with the handle, just one hole in, and I'm going to tie and I'm going to tie a knot here to hold some thread until I get back around, and then I'm going to tie the thread to this on the other end. So I'm going to leave several inches right here, tie a square knot, over, under, over. See, did I get that right? Yep, got a square knot. Then I'm going to go around to the back, and I'm going to come up through the hole in the corner. And again, this may be a child's most frustrating part, is pulling this long thread through. And I'm going to go around, and I'm going to go twice through the corner holes so that the string goes around this direction, and we'll go around this direction on this side. So I'm going to turn this direction now, and I'm going to go round and under to the next hole, always coming up from the back, and this is called a whip stitch. And this is the way that we did our cushions when I was young, so that's why I'm doing it this way. There's other stitches you can use, like I mentioned earlier. Pull them up tight. On the whip stitch, I'm always coming up from the back. Up through both holes. And again, I like this plastic string because I don't need a needle, which is really nice. Just kind of pull that up tight with each stitch. And we're going to repeat this all the way around the bag. I'll take off the binder clip when I get to that section. If you run out of string, you just tie another piece on and keep going. So I've gone around 3 edges of the bag with the whip stitch, and now I'm at the top corner again of the bag with the side with the handles. And then I'm going to stitch one hole, And we are going to leave this open for just a minute while we stuff our bag with what we're going to put inside. Now, when I was young, what we would put inside of here is newspaper, folded newspaper inside. And if you have newspaper you'd like to use, that's great. But during COVID, I had some grocery orders and they put everything in plastic bags, little plastic sacks. I just love getting to recycle some of these. So we're going to use them inside of our sit-upon to stuff it, and it's going to be a little noisy, but it's going to be a little softer than plain newspaper. So use whatever you have on hand to stuff your sit-upon. And stuff as many in your bag as you would like to make it have a nice pillow effect. Okay, I kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of these binder clips on here again and trying to kind of match those holes back up so it's not frustrating for kids. All right, so we're going to finish this last edge. So you have to kind of work matching those holes back up again, which is just a little bit harder on this side. Okay, I'm going down and around and up on the other side of the handle. This side's a little harder because it's puffy and these holes shift around. So you might need to help a younger child with this part. I didn't even think about this when I started it, but technically this is a learn to sew project. All right, so I'm going to take this thread now and I'm going to tie it to this one. I'm going to go ahead and go through this hole and then come back to the back side and tie my knot back here. So it's over and under, and then under and over. There we go, and I'm going to tie it a couple times. Clip the end of my string, and we have a nice sit-upon for outdoors that is water resistant at least. It makes a great camping pillow, and looky here, we can just grab it by the handles and take it with us. Isn't that great? So I hope you've enjoyed making a do-it-yourself sit-upon cushion from a reusable shopping bag. For more great craft ideas, come on over to welcometonanas.com and join the fun.